And welcome to this edition of the Native News Update on this Monday, August 13th. I'm your host for today's program, Paul DeMain, and many of the stories we read here can be found at our website at IndianCountryNews.com, and here are some of those news stories from the day from the Associated Press and other Native news sources. A judge in a civil lawsuit filed by a Native American man who claims the letters KKK were carved into him following surgery at a South Dakota hospital has ordered the two sides to come together to try to come to a resolution in the case. Judge Jeffrey Viken ordered lawyers for the 69-year-old Vern Traversy and lawyers for the defendants in the case to meet by September 7th. Traversy is a 69-year-old Lakota man living on the Cheyenne River Reservation in South Dakota. Traversy has sued Rapid City Regional Hospital, the hospital's board of directors, and several others, claiming the three letters KKK were left on his stomach following heart surgery. Though he is blind, Traversy says others have told him the scars left after his heart surgery formed those three letters. Tribes don't have to reimburse the government for buying divided up tribal land so it can be returned to them, according to the Department of Interior. In a ruling last Friday, it's something to clarify some of the money as the Cobell trust lawsuit settlement begins to work its way into the hands of people. The agency has been working with tribes to unite land that has been divided among multiple owners over many generations. A record $3.4 billion lawsuit settlement approved last year over federal mismanagement of Indian land royalties included $1.9 billion for purchases of the divided up land. The lawsuit was filed by Eloise Cobell, a Blackfeet tribal member from Browning, Montana, who passed away last year. David Hayes, Interior's deputy secretary, said in a letter responding to Representative Tom Cole, a Republican from Oklahoma, that the land purchases made with the money set aside in the settlement are not subject to liens or being paid back to the federal government. None of the express purposes of the $1.9 billion allow for the imposition of liens on tribes to repay the value of lands acquired, the government said in a return letter to the tribes. Hayes stated, Cole said that in a statement. This is excellent news for Indian country. The Michigan Court of Appeals has agreed to hear arguments against the state's decision to grant permits for a nickel and copper mine in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. The court decided to consider an appeal by groups opposing the mine, including the National Wildlife Federation and the Keweenaw Bay Indian Community. They contend the Michigan Department of Environmental Quality should not have granted permits for the Rio Tinto Eagle Mine, formerly known as the Kennecott Eagle Mine. It's under construction in Marquette County there in the UP. Opponents said the mine could pollute ground and surface waters, including a river that flows into Lake Superior. A mining company spokesman says those issues have already been considered by the DEQ and other lower courts. No date has been set for arguments before the appeals court. One of the most significant developments yet on the process of Washington's Elwha River restoration, members of the lower Elwha Tribe recently gathered at their people's sacred creation site for the first time in nearly a century. Generations of tribal members handed down descriptions of a distinctive place among the Elwha River where the Creator bathed the people and blessed them. For almost thousands of years, a place of reverence, and for thousands of years, a place of reverence and vision. The tribe's creation site was covered by the waters of one of the two reservoirs created after construction of the dams in 1910 and 1927. Removal of the two dams on the Elwha River began in September of 2011. The Elwha Dam is completely gone, and the Galinas Canyon Dam is expected to be fully removed by early summer 2013. The creation story was located, the creation site story was located in early July by members of the Olympic National Park Cultural Resources staff who frequently monitor both of the former Elwha reservoirs for emerging cultural resources. Park staff immediately contacted tribal members who visited the site and confirmed its authenticity. A former Seminole Tribal of Florida council member has been sentenced to 1.5 years in prison in a federal tax fraud case for not reporting his per capita payments. The Miami Herald reports that David Rogers Cypress apologized at his sentencing hearing last week. He pled guilty in April to filing a false 2007 tax return. Cypress admitted failing to report more than $285,000 in tribal distributions on the tax return for 2007 alone. But in court documents, Cypress agreed to pay the Internal Revenue Service more than $5.4 million in back taxes and penalties for the years 2003 through 2009. Cypress was a member of the Seminole Tribal Council from 1999 to 2010. His attorney said Cypress didn't understand that he owed personal income taxes as gaming boosted the tribe's wealth. Authorities have destroyed more than 26,000 marijuana plants discovered during a major pot bust on the Hoop Valley tribal land in Northern California. Humboldt County officials say a sophisticated marijuana growing operation was discovered in the Mill Creek drainage area during reconnaissance flights 2 weeks ago. The Eureka Times Standard reports about 30 officers from multiple law enforcement agencies spent several hours eradicating 26,600 plants last week in the region's biggest pot bust this year. The grow operation was discovered after biologists surveying the area for spotted owls reported hearing several shots fired. It says, please take the time to join with us this August 19th around midday when we come together to honor and remember our ancestors and strengthen our network of relations. The annual memorial ceremony in Maine takes place at the site where the historical Abenaki village of Norridgewock once stood prior to an attack by the colonial militia on August 23, 1724. This central community had existed in basically the same location for thousands of years. Many North American Indians from across the region can trace their heritage back to communities like Norridgewock. After the memorial ceremony on Sunday, there will be a community corn roast and potluck. In conjunction with this year's memorial ceremony, Wabanaki people, along with the other First Nations, friends and relatives and allies and supporters, will be conducting a sacred run from the Penobscot community of Indian Island, Maine to the Pines at Norridgewock. The runners will leave Indian Island on Saturday, August 18th and run through Saturday evening and Sunday morning, reaching the Pines around midday. People who are interested in running or supporting the runners are to find out additional information about the run and or memorial should contact Barry Dana at 207-643-2595, and we'll put that number up for you. That's going to be another round of news from Indian Country on this edition of the Native News Update. We want to thank you for joining with us and come back again soon.